Repositories collection object in unified functional testing. That is the topic of this tutorial video. Welcome to this tutorial video. Repositories collection object in unified functional testing or UFT. That is the topic of this tutorial video. It is also applicable to HP QTP, Micro Focus UFT, HP UFT, and OpenText UFT1 or OpenText functional testing. So the first topic is, what is repositories collection object? What is a repositories collection object? Repositories collection object. A collection object that enables us to programmatically manage the runtime collection of shared object repositories files associated with the current action. Means repositories collection is a built-in object which we can use to manage shared object repositories which are associated with the current action of the test. Now, this is, let's say, this is a test. This is a test. This has one action. I could have action 1, action 2, action 3, many actions. So action 1 will have object repository. Action 1 can have object repositories, local object repository and shared object repository. So it is this object, a repositories collection object, is used to manage shared object repositories, not the local object repositories. It is used to manage shared object repositories which are associated with the current action of the test. Current action of the test. On this particular example, the test GUI test 2 has only one action. So that what it is. This is the definition. This is the definition that I have read from this book or from this document. It is basically means a repositories collection is a built-in object which we can use to manage shared object repositories which are associated with the current action of the test. Now I have explained what is repositories collection object. Repositories collection object. So this is a built-in object used to manage shared object repositories which are associated with the current action of the test. So I've explained this one. Now I will be giving hands-on example of below methods and properties of this object. So this object has this many methods and properties. Repositories collection object has this many methods and properties. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can see 5 methods and 2 properties. This one and this one, these 2 properties, and this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one, these 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These 5 are methods of this particular object. And I will give hands-on example of each method and properties. So before I go to the hands-on example, I need one UFT script which should have at least two shared object repositories, because this object is used to manage shared object repositories. So I should have at least minimum two shared object repositories in a UFT test so that I can demonstrate. So this particular script has one action, and if I open the action, I will see these are the lines of code. First, I explain the script so it will be easier for us to understand the methods and properties of this particular object. So this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines of code. These two line will open this two line. This two line, first line will close the my flight sample application. If I open, if I go to HP softwares, when I install UFT installed with sample applications. My flight is a sample application that when I install UFT, this application gets installed automatically with the tool so that we can practice. So this is a sample application. It gets installed in the computer when I install UFT, and I will be using this tool for demonstration. So this is a Windows-based tool, WPF tool, Windows-based tool developed in WPF. Now, when this line executes, if this particular application is open, the sample application is open, it will close it. And when this line executes, this line of code executes, it opens a new this flight GUI sample application. It's called HP My Flight sample application. This gets opened when this line number 4 executes. And then now these are the three lines of code comes from one shared object repository. So this test or this action has two shared object repositories which are associated. Let me show. This is the object repository. If I click on object repository, then object repository window will come up. It came up. It says all objects. These are the all objects. If I see the local object repository, there is no local objects in the local object repository. Now I have two shared object repositories. S means shared, O means object, R means repository, and 1 means the first one. So I have two shared object repositories. If I click on this one, then the object repository which name is SOR1, that object repository has this many objects. In this repository has this many objects. Out of this many objects, these three are used: agent name, password, and then okay. So these are the three objects which are used in the script, and these three objects comes from the object repository 1, shared object repository 1, shared object repository whose name is SO1, SOR1. From this shared object repository, these three objects are taken into the script. And if I go to the next shared object repository, this is the shared object repository 2. I open. So these are the objects which is present in the next shared object repository. Now, from the first and from this shared object repository, only one object is used. This image one, this only one object is used. So I close this one. So from the first object repository, these three objects are used. These three objects are used. From the second object repository, only one object is used. Now if I run the script, these three commands, these three, 1, 2, 3, these 4 lines of code are commented out. So if I run the script, only these 2 lines will execute, and then this one and this one. So let me run the script. To run these two scripts, these 2 lines of code do not use any object from the object repositories. So I run the script. Script closed the current open shared object, opened this sample application and launched a new one. It closed which was already open earlier and then opened a new one. I haven't gone to the object repositories collection yet. I'm just explaining the script that I have. So now I will be opening the object repository again. I can see these are the objects that are associated. If I click on here in the list, I can see I have 2 shared object repositories and one local object repository. Local object repository doesn't have any object. Shared object repository 1, if I click, these are the objects. Now if I select this one, this object, agent name, select, click in highlight in application. It got highlighted, means the object name, which name is agent name, the object which name is agent name, that is this object. And then password, I select the password, click in highlight in application. Then from the first shared object repository, the object whose name is password is this one. This is the test object, this is the runtime object. But this is right now this is also test object because it is in the design time. Now then OK object. So I select the OK object. Now if I click on highlight in application, it got highlighted. Now that is from the shared repository 1. That is from the shared repository 1. Shared object repository 1. That is from this 3. So I close this this object repository thing. Now if I uncomment this 3 lines of code, uncomment 3 lines of code, Control Shift M from the keyboard to uncomment. Now I uncommented this. Now if I run the script, then the script will this 5 lines of code will execute. A script will close this sample application, open a new instance of the sample application, and then enter user ID, password, and click on OK. And then from this is the landing page. This is the landing page. After clicking user ID, password, click on OK, and a new page will come. That would be the login page. So if I run the script will open and log in and navigate to the login page. Let me run it and see what happens. Script closed the previously opened sample application, launched a new one. Now it should enter user ID as John, password as HP, and click on OK. So the login page get launched or opened. Our application navigated to the login page. Now script execution will end now after waiting 7 seconds, because I put 7 seconds here. Now this object from the second shared object repository. Now if I go to the object repositories, now this is all objects. If I click here, I will see this is the second shared object repository. Shared object repository 2 means second one. If I click on the second one, these are the objects from the second shared object repository, and only one object is used in the script, that is image one. If I click highlight in application, it will be highlighted. So this is the image that has been used in the script. Now I will close this object repository window. I will close, and I will run this uncommand this line, and just run the line number 12. So it will highlight that particular object. I'm just running the one line. It highlighted. When the line number 12 of the script executed, that particular image got highlighted. Now we understand the script. This script has two shared object repositories. The script, now in the notepad I wrote the information. This is the path of the script where the script is present, and this is the list of shared object repositories. This is the path of the first shared object repository, which has the index number 1, and this is the second shared object repository, which has the index number 2. So this is a list. List is also known as collection. So this is a collection of shared object repositories, or I could say this is a list of shared object repositories which has two shared object repositories in the list. And this part is the path of the shared object repository, and this is the index of the shared object repository. Now I understand what the script. A script has a few lines of code, has two shared object repositories, and uses objects from two shared object repositories. And the name of the first shared object repository is SOR1. The name of the first shared object repository, I'm telling again, that is SOR1.tsl. Second shared object repository SOR2.tsl. Now we understand the. Now if I delete both shared object repositories, what will happen? Let's say I will be deleting now I will be unassociate the shared object repositories. That means I'm deleting it. So this test action 1 has two shared object repositories. I will remove both of those two shared object repositories. So I'm removing second one first. And then this one also. I removed it. Okay. So no shared object repositories are associated in the script right now. If I go to the object repositories, all object is empty. If I click, I will see local objects repository has no objects here, and all objects also has no. That means no object is present in this particular test. No object is present in this particular test or in this particular action of this test. No shared object repositories associated with the test, and no objects in the local object repository. Now what will happen if I run the script? Script will pass? No, a script will fail, because when the line number 7 will execute, a script will check the information of this object, but this object is not present in the object repository, so a script will fail. Let me see what happens. Now I'm running it. I have the script, but no shared object repositories are associated with the script, and no objects in the local object repository. Now I'm running it. We will see what happens. The script should fail. The line 3 and line 4 will execute, but when the line number 7 executes, at that time script will fail. Line number 7 is executing. Now script will fail because that particular object is not present in the object repository. It says object was not found in the object repository. Okay, I'm clicking on OK. Now I need to add those objects to the object repository. This time I will add those shared object repositories with this action using scripting or using repositories collection object. So I will be using add method. This one I will be using to add. This one I will be using to add shared object repositories. And if I go to the information, that's fine. I will be adding. So if I click here, I will see this is the information about the add method. It doesn't return anything. It only add the shared object repository to the action. But it only associate the shared object repository with the action. So I will be adding this repositories collection and repositories collection dot. Now I can see all the methods and properties. So I'm using add method, and I will give the path of the shared object repository. Let me check. This is the path of the test, and that is where I have created the shared object repository. So I will be checking the shared object repository there first. These are the shared object repositories. So this is one. This is the shared object repository. I copied everything. Control C from the keyboard to copy the entire path of the shared object repository. SOR, shared object repository 1. Paste it here. And I will also add the second shared object repository, which is the shared object repository 2. Shared object repository 2. this one, SOR, shared object repository true. The same way can be done. So I have added both. Now I will be pasting here. This is the first shared object repository. Well, yes, this is the first shared object repository. This is the second shared object repository in the list. So this is the path of the first shared object repository. This is the path of the second shared object repository. So I have added both shared object repositories with the test. Means I have associated both shared object repositories with the test. Now if I run the script, a script will pass because these objects are added to the test during runtime. When the line number 1 and line number 2 executes, at that time when a script is running, when the line number 1 and line number 2 executes, at that time these two shared object repositories will be added. Right now it is design time. Right now it is design time, but when I will click on run, a script will be running. At that time, during runtime, these two shared object repositories will be added with the script, and therefore this will pass. Let me see what happens. Let me run the script and see what happens. A script is passing. A script is not showing a pop-up message saying that there is no object in the object repository. It is not saying that. That means the shared object repositories are correctly added to the script using repositories collection object. That means I have explained this one hands-on. Now it says count property. Count property will give the count of how many shared object repositories are present in the list or in the collection. Now if I go to the count property, that is what I will be explaining now. Count, that is what I will be explaining now. Count property. Now this is the count property. If I click on here, I can see the information about the count property. These are the information that belongs to the count property. Now count property, it will return a number. Number is the count of the shared object repositories. So on this particular example, in this list or in this collection, how many shared object repositories are present? 2. This is 1 and this is the second one. So it should return 2. Now I'm commenting out the remaining scripts. These are the code I'm commenting out. Commented out. Control M from the keyboard. I commented out. Now I will be using the count property. So count equal to repositories collection dot, I made a mistake while typing, so I'll be typing again. Repository collection dot, and I'm taking the count property. Count. In the beginning, I'm saying variable output. So this is the object. And this count property will return the count of the shared object repositories present in the list. Currently in the list there are 2, so this variable will have the value 2. Now if I say message box v output, so in the message box it will show the count, and count is 2, means there are 2 shared object repositories are present in this particular list, which are associated with the test. Now I'll be running it and I will see the number 2 in the message box. Number 2 is showing. That means it is showing the count of the shared object repositories which are associated with the current action of the test. Click on OK. So I comment out this 2 line. Control M from the keyboard to comment out. Now I can say that I have shown hands on this particular property of this object. Now this one is find. This is what I will be showing hands on. That is find method. Let me see what is saying in the documentation. So find method. These are the information that belongs to the find method. And this is a different method. This is different, and these are also different. For this particular method, find method, these are the information is available. So it takes a string value. It takes a string and it returns a number representing the index position. So if I go here and see the list, these are the index. So this is the path of the first shared object repository, and this is the index. Index is 1. This is the second shared object repository's path, and this is the index of the second shared object repository. In this particular list is also called collection. So in this particular collection, or in this particular list, I have 2 shared object repositories, and we have the path and the index of each shared object repositories. And normally index number starts with 0 in many other cases, but when it is a repositories collection, index number starts with 1. Index number starts with 1. Now the find method, I will give this path and it will return the index number. I will give the path and it will return the index number. I will give the path and it will return the index number. So I will show hands-on now. Variable index 1 equal to, I will copy this object, paste here. This is the object name, dot. I will see all the methods and properties, and this time I will take the find method. This is what I am explaining. Find method. So I am giving the find, and I will be giving the path, repositories path, and this is the repositories path. This is the path. Control C from the keyboard to copy, and Control V from the keyboard to paste. Close bracket end. Now this is this index 1, and I also have second variable. So index, not index 2. These are the variables. These are the global variables. This is a global variable. This is another global variable. This variable will hold the index number. So I'm copying the entire line of code, paste here, and change the path here to. Now if I do the message box msg box, it will show, and I will see the index number of SOR1 repository is, I will give this variable, copy everything, paste again, and the index number of repository SOR2 object. These are the name. SOR1 is the repository name. This repository name, and this is also repository name. SOR2 is the repository name. Number is 2. So if I go to the collection or list, I can see this shared object repository, which name is SOR1, has the index number 1, and the shared object repository, which name is SOR2, has the index number 2. And see, it will, if I run the script, it will, in the pop-up message box, I will see the index numbers. So let me run it and see what happens. When line number 7 executes, it will say index number of SOR shared object repository 1 repository. This is the name. This name's repository is 1, which is true. If I go to the list, I can see SOR, this shared object repository's index number is 1. And if I click on OK, then the line number 8 will execute, and it will also say the index number of the second shared object repository. I'm clicking on OK. It is saying index number of SOR2 repository is 2. SOR2, this shared object repository's index number is 2. Now I'm clicking on OK, so script execution will end. I also comment out these things. Control M from the keyboard. So this also gets commented out. And I can say that I have shown hands-on this particular method. Next one is item property. Item property. This is the property that I will explain now, or I will give the hands-on. Item property. What is written in the documentation? First I see item property. If I click here, I will see these are the information that belongs to the item property. This information. So item property will take a number and it will return a string value. So it will take the index number and it will return the path, the opposite. The index position of the shared object repository that you want to retrieve from the collection, the first repository. So yeah, the same thing, the opposite thing. It will take the number, index number, and return the path of the collection. So if I see the collection or see the list, I have a path. I also have index number. So if I give the index number, then it will give the path. So that I will show hands on. So variable path1 equal to, I'll copy the repository's name, paste here the, or not repository's name, the object's name. Repositories collection, the entire thing is the name of an object. So I wrote the object's name, dot, and I will see the methods and properties. This time I will be taking the item property. This is what I will be item property. This is what I'm showing item property. So I have chosen the item, first bracket, and I will give the position. The position is, if it is 1, then this is the path of the corresponding position. If it is the index number, if the index number is 2, then this is the path. So I will give the index number and I will receive path. So I'm giving the index number 1. So this thing, the entire thing, will return the path which will be stored in this global variable. And variable path2 equal to, copy the entire thing, paste here, and write to here. Now I will also have the message box, msgbox message box, the path of shared object, the path of shared object repository, the path of shared object repository of index 1. I'm just hardcoding it. The path of shared object repository of index 1 is, and I will give the variable. Copy the entire path, entire line of code, paste it here, and I will change this to value to, and here also I will write 2. Now if I run the script, a script will show the path in the message box. I'm giving the index number and getting the path. Let me run the script and see what happens. So it says the path of a shared object repository of index 1, shared object repository of index 1 is this. If I click on OK, shared object repository which has the index 2 has the path. The path of the shared object repository which is the index number 2 is this one. This is the path. Click on OK. So the item property will take index number and return the path. So I'm also commenting out this. Control AM from the keyboard to comment out. Now I have explained this one hands-on. Now this one I will be explaining, that is MoveToPos method. MoveToPos, pos is the short form of position. MoveToPos, pos is the short form of position. So this particular method is used to swipe the position of the shared object repository. Now right now if I see the list, I see shared object repository is in the first place. Shared object repository 1, SOR1. This particular shared object repository is in the position 1 of this list. In this list, this one is on the first place and this one is on the second place, or the position of this particular shared object repository is 2, or the index number is 2. Now I will be altering, or not altering, I will be swiping. Means this shared object repository will move to the first one, and then first one will move to the second one. That is called swiping to shared object repositories. So that is what this method will do. So first I print before swiping and I will print after swiping. So before swiping, before swapping, I will print the repositories list for I equal to 1 2. I copy this object name, paste here, dot count. So I get the count of the list or collection. So it will iterate 2 times and it will print I will say repositories collection dot item. Let me see. I didn't show what it shows in the. This is the item take number, return string. Now I didn't show this one. This is the information that is present in the document about this particular method, MoveToPos method. Now I'll be taking item, first bracket, I. So now before swapping, it will print this two. This one will be the first and this one will be the second. After swiping, this one will be the first and this one will be the second. So after now, before swapping, Now I will swipe. Swapping. This is the swapping task I'm doing. So I'll be like, this is the repositories collection. This is the name of the object dot, and I will be using first bracket, and it is taking two positions. And if I go here, it says both it is taking two numbers, two index numbers it will be taking. So 1, 2 is bracket end. So whichever is in the 2 will move to 1, and whichever is in the 1 will move to 2. The shared object repository which is in the position 2 will move to position 1, and whichever is in the position 1 that will move to position 2. That means they're swiping, exchanging among them. So this I have done swiping, and now I will print after swiping. After swiping, I will print again. Control C everything. Control C to copy in those, and Control V to paste. So before swapping, I will see the list, and after swapping also I will see the list. After swapping, for the demonstration, I'm just having two shared object repositories in the list. In the real time, there could have many shared object repositories in the list, and the swiping will be done among the index number I have given here. Whatever shared object repository is present in index number 1, that will move to index number 2, and whatever shared object repository is present in index number 2, that will move to index number 1. So now if I run the script, I will see the shared object repositories before swapping and after swapping. Let me run it and see what happens. Let me check the errors, if I made any error. Visible error, that is no, there is no error. The test run cannot continue due to a syntax error. So I made a syntax error. That is, I put first brackets, but I don't supposed to put first brackets. So I'll be removing the first brackets. I made an error. That is, I put first bracket. Now I will run it. This time it will pass. If I see before swapping, the shared object repository 1 was in the top of the list. Now, after swapping, the shared object repository 1 is at the bottom of the list. So it has been swiped. Other way I could say the shared object repository, which name is SOR1, was in the second position before swapping. After swapping, the shared object repository, which name is SOR2, is moved to the first position. Now I have explained the method move to position. This method is basically for swiping the position of the two shared object repositories. So I'll be commenting out this. I'm also commenting out this. So I have commented out everything. And now the position has been changed. The list is not this one anymore. The new list is will be, first I need to copy this. Control C from the keyboard to copy, and then I can paste. Control V. Now I'll be changing to 2 this one and 1 this one. So now this is the new list because I used that particular method to swipe the position. Now after swiping, the list I have of the shared object repositories is this one, where 2 is in the first position and 1 is in the second position. Now I have explained this one also hands-on. Now remove method, I will use remove method to remove a particular shared object repository from the list. So if I go to the remove method, if I go to the documentation of the remove method, I see these are the information given for this particular method. It takes a number, position index number. So whatever index number I will give, shared object repository of that index number will be removed. So if I go to the list, I see this is the index number 1, this is the index number 2. If I give index number 1, then this one will be deleted. If I use index number 2, then this one will be deleted or removed. So let me do that. So first I will say message box before deleting shared object repository. Before deleting shared object repository, the count is I will get the count dot count. Now I will delete. Now I will delete. So I will say remove, and I will say 1. First bracket. 1 means I'm giving the index number of this one. That means this one will be deleted. S1 will be deleted and this one will be present. So and I will be getting the count again. Copy the entire line, paste it here. I will say after deleting. after deleting. So I have added two shared object repositories. So before deleting, there will be count2 because I have added two shared object repositories, and then I have removed one. The first one I have removed. This one I have removed. So then after removing one, the count will be 1. Let me run and see what happens. Indeed. Before deleting shared object repository, the count is 2. Okay. After deleting shared object repository, the count is 1. Means in the list of the shared object repository, after deleting 1, the new count comes 1. We can, okay. Now that is for delete. That is for delete method, not delete, remove method. So I have give hands-on example. Now this one is remove all method. This one I will be explaining. I show the information that is present, remove all method. This is the information that is available in the documentation for this particular method. It will delete everything. Remove all means it will remove or delete or drop or erase or truncate everything. So I will be saying remove all. Here I will say remove all. Dot, and I will see the method remove all. So I'm choosing this one. Now if I run it, before deleting the count would be 2 because there are 2 shared object repositories are added into the list, and after removing both of those 2, the new count would be 0. Before deleting, the count is 2. After deleting, the count is 0. Click on OK to end the script execution. So I have explained this one as well. So I have explained everything that I intended to explain in this tutorial video. Thank you for watching this tutorial video.